Untamed is going to be untamed. It's going to be a little crazy. I want to talk to my people. I want to talk to my brothers and sisters. We can have grace and humility in how we interact with other people.
Oh, hot dog, look at you.
And nobody talked about what's really happening.
And let's have conversations about what truth is.
Listen, let's talk about the last vote there in Virginia, the presidential vote. Vice President Kamala Harris won by about 5 percentage points. So the state is relatively split with a left lean, but 90% of House members from Virginia being from one party?
90% of Virginians are not Democrats. That's true.
Correct.
But about 100% of Virginians want election results to be respected. We're deeply worried that Donald Trump will try to interfere with the election results this November or in 2028 because we saw him do it before. And we have to have a Congress that will stand up to it. In 2021, all 5 Republicans in Virginia went along with Donald Trump in his effort to overturn election results. And so we're giving Virginians a chance to vote, which Republican states have not done, about whether they want to have a congressional delegation that will stand up against Donald Trump's tyranny.
Okay, so you get a little bit of fuzziness. Sorry, I am not in the studio. I'm out of the studio right now. Let me see if I can fix this a little bit. I thought I had it fixed before. Let me see if I can autofocus it, see if that helps. It might not help. It might just be me. It might be that I'm just not going to be able to fix it. Let me see here. All right. You get what you get today, just so you know. He didn't want to say the quiet part out loud, and that is that we have stolen elections. I keep putting this up over and over again. Skip has done a great job on Twitter digging into all the different information we've had over the last 5 years. The most troubling thing about what we're dealing with as a country is the gaslighting that is happening on the radical left. It is out of control. It's out of control. The entire system is based on stolen elections. None of these people have been elected. And I do understand the Republican side of things that are like, well, how far do we have to claw it back? Do we have to go back 20 years? 30 years? How long has it been widespread election fraud by companies like Dominion Voting Systems? Today, I was going through some information. Every day I'm putting up the same post talking about what Eric Krumer said. And it's the precipice that it led us to the place where we started looking under the hood for Dominion Voting Systems. And everywhere we turn, we see more and more fraud. And we have the same apparatus inside of our government that says the same thing over and over again. That is, nothing to see here. It's a safe and secure system. They're still using the same dog whistles, misinformation, disinformation. They haven't gotten away from it. And you don't have an argument if the only thing you're doing is repeating the same thing you've been repeating over the last 5 years. You have no curiosity. It's a morbid ability to walk away from it while bullying anyone that steps and speaks about truth. And we need to show you something about elections. Guess who's in charge of the elections in a township called Waconisco Township in Pennsylvania. Just play this.
For me, I'm a transgender woman who lives in America. I have tried for a very long time to get my bottom surgery, but unfortunately it's been out of my affordability level for a very long time. In America, I'm disabled on SSDI, and I only get Medicare for my health insurance. I'm grateful to have medical care, but at the end of the day, it's not enough. I've tried for years to get my bottom surgery, and the bottom line is, I hate to use that pun, but it will be cheaper for me to go to Thailand or Canada to get my bottom surgery than in America. My copay is 20% because I only get Medicare. That's all I get. I didn't qualify for Medicaid. That would have paid all these costs. So, on my limited income, what I'm trying to do right now is actually raise some money so I can go to Thailand and actually get my medically necessary procedures. You know, it's kind of hard to unpack the reality that I have to fly half around the world to get a medically necessary procedure instead of getting it done in America. Could you imagine having to go get a procedure in another country just because America doesn't, you know, is very limited on doing those procedures? Yeah, that's the reality. There's so many people in my position. They have to go to other countries because they can't afford the high cost of like these procedures, which is wrong. You know, America is like one that supposed to be the best in medical care, but it's not. If you're in my position, and there's many other transgender women who are in my position that are going through this.
That dude needs Jesus. And this is what sickos promote. Sickos promote this. And he says it's medically necessary. Now, what's medically necessary is that you actually probably need to go see a psychiatrist because something's wrong with you. It's a mental illness. And I think there's a contagion, a social contagion that leads people that are just weird and mentally ill to a place where they just want to be self-important. They have to identify with someone. I mean, I think it has more to do with the fact that people just feel invisible. And that's what these systems have designed it to be, is that we, you know, be Kardashians, be this, be that. But you got to be special. I'm here to tell you something. You're supposed to live your life, and most people, if not all people, are not special. You're just not. Even the ones they say are. So here's a video that posted by Skiff involving election fraud in Pennsylvania during the 2020 election. I just want you to know that this person was the person that you just saw was the one that oversees elections and will be overseeing elections. So someone that has to pretend there's something and wants you to pay for it. I don't know. I mean, maybe they should probably start with getting some teeth. This is Delaware County, Pennsylvania, caught on secret video shredding ballots and plotting a cover-up. This is unbelievable. In Delaware County, Pennsylvania. Play it.
Pads in the second scanner. We got to talk about it now. Why? What's wrong? What's wrong?
Here's Tom Gallagher again, lawyer for Delaware County, destroying voting machine tapes to bypass the right to know request.
And then let them try to figure out what we did.
Mom, why do you have to rip it off? It makes you feel better?
Yeah. It's just so many copies. I didn't want to try to pick it out and take it through stuff away.
Oh.
We're gonna have a little campfire going.
And that was 4 times.
What we have here is evidence. What we have there is evidence. Right? Let them figure that out.
Yes, but what I don't understand, and this makes me nervous, is why tapes were being thrown away. So what is...
Those tapes were...
No, you guys have been throwing away tapes, so what tapes are you throwing away? Like, why?
Because they're unidentifiable. There's no way they could,
But we've been that way since the November election, so why would you throw anything away? Because you have to save it for 22 months.
Well, let's put it this way. Yes, there are tapes that are being tossed, but they are of no audit value. Of no audit value.
We know that all the elections have been stolen. We know that they have treated every whistleblower, every person that's come forward. They have literally defamed them to the bitter end. I've spent millions of dollars. I've been all over the country. They can't shut me up. And frankly, they've gone as far as to send people to my house with guns. Now, it's going to end really badly because the 2 people that did come to my house with guns are just lucky to still be alive. I made it very clear. Somebody comes for me. Make peace with God, because that's That's where you're going. And yet we know that there's a certain amount of desperation that's out there, and they are hell bent on keeping power in this realm of, I call it the synagogue of Satan, which we're going to talk about today. But here's a fun fact about stolen elections. It's not just about putting people in positions of power that then vote to increase taxes, take away rights, restrict your Second Amendment, restrict your First Amendment, pretty much just destroy everything that is good about our country. No, they also use it to raise taxes on you. Property tax, it went up triple. And here's a fun fact. In 250 years, you didn't know this, but in 250 years, the United States has voted to raise taxes 5 times. 3 times have been in Colorado when Jenna Griswold ran elections. The odds of this happening are near impossible. Nobody, even the whack job lefties, vote for raised taxes. This is the gold standard of fraud. California, Proposition 30, 2012, sales tax increase and high incomes tax rates. Massachusetts, Question 1, 2022. And you'll notice, by the way, that all of these happened after, but if you go back to 2012, you're not going to believe who was running the elections in 2012 in California. Colorado, Massachusetts, Question 1, 2022, surtax on income over $1 million. Colorado, Proposition FF, 2022, reduced income tax deductions for high earners. Colorado, Proposition LL, 2025, retained excess revenue from prior high earners deduction limits. Colorado, Proposition MM, 2025, further reduces income tax deductions for high earners. This is what we vote for as people. We vote for the government to get an unlimited amount of cash, have zero accountability, be able to defraud the American voters at every turn. And we're supposed to sit on the sidelines and say, oh, yeah, it's a free and fair election. At this point, we've gotten past the ridiculous, and we should have thrown these people out a long time ago. And it is not a Republican versus Democrat. It is the uniparty of cartel leadership and rotted apparatuses of our judiciary that, frankly, they're nothing but enforcers for a criminal family. They do it over and over and over again. And just to give you an update of what's going on with the judge wants certain assurances that they will not be put in a position where anyone would ever know who they are. As I go through it and I make certain accommodations, it becomes very clear. There is a fear. There is a fear of these people, these evil people, and what they have done to people all over our country. It's a legitimate fear. Name one whistleblower over the last 30 years that has not been absolutely vilified while they put people like Eric Coomer up on a front page, the perfect villain. Well, stop being a villain and you wouldn't be the perfect villain. I guess you filled the part. But you want to attack and take advantage of people. And I just want to remind everyone that Eric Coomer sued everyone that let me speak. And they settled because, they just created enough chaos and said he didn't do it. Joe's lying, Joe's lying, Joe's lying. And the reality is they were lying. And now that they're caught, I say it over and over and over again. I want my pound of flesh. I want to know that they pay for their crimes. I want them tried for treason. I want them tried for sedition. I want them to spend the rest of their miserable lives in prison. And they should. It has not been a victimless crime. Men, women, and children have been murdered and raped. Illegals have come across the border and taken entitlements they don't deserve. The entire country has turned into a slave state where this replacement theology is the thing that captures our society. And we sit back and we watch it happen. And only from the grace of God, from our guests to other people like him, like me, that stand up and say, no, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. And now we have an opportunity going into this election to fix it. Here's a post that I put up talking about these stolen elections. Put a 5. They steal all elections they want. It's time to take back from these synagogue of Satan demons. They're demons. These are evil devils. Well, we have a guest that's coming in. And you guys already know EM's been on the show many times, a Green Beret. He likes to fight like me. I mean, we're prepping for it. I'm literally just I'm hitting the stacks. I'm doing everything I can to prepare for it. Is there going to be a fight? I think there is. If we don't take back from these evil demons that are basically destroying our children and society, there's no hope. With that said, EM, welcome to the show.
Let me get the mic on here. It's good to see you, Joe. It's been a little bit.
Been a little bit. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. I haven't lost any more hair, so that's going for me.
Well, I didn't think you were trying to grow anymore, though.
Well, I didn't say I'm at the point where I don't think there's any more to lose. That's what I'm getting at. Yeah.
So, what have you been up to? I haven't had you on in a while. You've been kind of out there still fighting the fight.
Yeah, I finished the first novel. Now I'm moving on to how are they, which is the fight over the last 400 years up to here. And now I'm starting on the second one, thinking through how are they fighting now and what fights, what are the mechanisms they're setting up to continue the fight moving forward.
What do you think we're dealing with right now? What do you think if you had to look at this and go, all right, it's 2026. They've been lying to us about everything, lied to us about COVID, you can go back 20 years. This apparatus, this intelligence apparatus in our country has literally lied about everything. They haven't told us the truth about a single thing. So what do you think the outcome is now? Because I think the people are finally at that place where they want to kick out every illegal. They just do. And I don't mean every illegal, meaning the ones that are working their job, doing the things that they have been doing, have been here for 20 years. I'm talking about the 6-8 million people that came across the border over the last 4 years. They just want them all out.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think 100 million people are going to have to go. And some of them are illegals. And that's just a reality, or we are done as a people no matter what happens.
I don't actually think they're that big. I think
it is that big.
No,
I'm seeing it all over. Yeah.
No, because all right, listen, 30 to 40% of everything you see in social media are bots.
It's not that, bro. I've driven all over this country. I've been all over this country over the last 30 years. I see it everywhere. And I see the native populations who can't afford houses anymore living in RVs everywhere in this country.
That is very
everywhere.
True.
Living on side streets, living in little pullouts, living everywhere. So the native citizens have been pushed out, and all these homes are full. They saying we don't have enough homes. In my neighborhood right here, which is not an inconsequential or poor neighborhood, they rotate them out about every 6 months.
They rotate out people?
Yeah, they rotate in families. They come here pretty much close to nothing or a little bit, and they leave here BMWs and Mercedes.
This is very true.
And this is happening in every community of everybody I know.
Yeah, but
the numbers are far larger than we know.
Well, I mean, so I will tell you this. You're right. You're right in what you're saying. At the same time, they've learned to game the system. You could have one, especially Arabs, right? You could have one Muslim guy that has 8 wives. He'll have 8 different houses. He'll go and, pork belly each one of those women. They'll have 3 or 4 children. He'll have 25 children. He'll get all this entitlements, and he'll use those entitlements in order to make sure he takes care of his kids. They'll all say that they are unmarried, right? When they are married. I mean, it's like the reorganized church, Mormon church all over again, only it's the Muslims coming in and stealing from the American people.
Well, that's one aspect, and that's one population. The largest population is Catholics brought into this country on purpose.
All right,
to what purpose? Right? And that's mostly out of South and Central America and elsewhere. But the other, tell in this is the number of IDs that have been issued to people through the DMV in various states that should never have been issued them because they didn't have proper immigration status. And that's tens of millions, and that's verifiable.
All right, tens of millions of people. So how do we reset this when our entire government is against us fully?
Well, and the NGOs and the judiciary, as you said. So the first thing we have to accept is that the real power is the same power it's always been through history, and that's murder and the threat of murder. And that ever-present threat of murder is keeping judiciary, sheriffs, politicians, bureaucrats, NGOs, high net worth individuals in line.
Well, you can't keep me in line. I'm all about the fight.
Well, you are an abnormality.
You know, well, I think you're about to fight. I think there's a bunch of us about to fight, and we know how to fight. That's the other part. Is that they're afraid.
But who, right? So the part of the problem we have, and I've written on this a couple of times, right? Part of the problem we have is this devil's legions, which is a mixing of cartels, you know, organized crime, intelligence community, special operations community, law enforcement communities, et cetera, you know, terrorists, et cetera, around the world that have all been brought together during the global war on terror as a single, you know, unified force. And they're everywhere, absolutely everywhere. In communities, I've had them show up here at my house at a daughter's party. They're everywhere. And that threat is everywhere, and it's ever present. And we have to, as a people, accept that the real power in this country is not elections. It's the threat, the mortal threat against anybody who might stand up against the elections in a position to do something about it. Yeah, that's one side. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that brings me to the other side, which is that we're just slaves. We're just sitting here watching it all happen.
Correct.
So when does the threat actually turn around? When do we actually have the ability to turn around those threats and push them back in their face?
Well, two things. One, you know, first part is that we have to address the ever-present, you know, physical mortal threat to those in positions of power and influence over, you know, electoral systems and processes and post-electoral systems and processes. The second piece that we have to, you know, come to grips with, in addition to the fact that murder still rules everything and that it's widespread and rampant, the second thing that we have, and the threat of it, the second thing that we have to come to grips with is the two voting related folks that you showed in the video prior, and that is that we have a massive and rampant and intentionally fostered and fed mental health crisis. And that we've allowed the insane, truly insane, to rise up into positions of influence and decision making.
You know, and I don't think anyone would actually disagree with you. I don't think they could ever disagree with you. My point is that we now at that place, okay, we work the problem. We work the problem in such a way, and I see this unity coming together. Look, people on the Democrats are just as unhappy as the Republicans and the independents. I mean, there's a lot of really unhappy people. It is the haves versus the have-nots, and the haves are the illegals. Like, there's a lot of illegals, and then there's a smaller group of people that says, you know, and we're gonna cover this because I need your help on this one. Mm-hmm. I haven't seen organizations come together so strongly against a single individual as the ADL and the Jewish Coalition and all these guys came against me. I mean, I'm just Joe in Colorado, right? I just have a podcast, and they literally have done some pretty terrible things. So how do we address the Satanism in the room?
Yeah, so for me, I'm not a Satanist kind of guy. What I am is, those are mentally ill people, malevolently mentally ill in many cases. So however people perceive it,
no, it's pretty satanic, brother. It's pretty satanic.
Well, it can be, but that's not how I see the world, right? Or the lens through which I see the world. I don't think, Joe, I don't think there's a set answer or strategy or plan. It's a matter of be prepared. And at some point it will kick off, and be prepared. And what do you need to be prepared for? Well, one, there's survival, and there's survival of you and your family and your immediate circle. The other is there are some elites, some actual elites, native elites that do need to be secured because they have roles and responsibilities that the greater commons require. And we can't allow it to be a free-for-all when it goes.
Well, I mean, if we're not on the same page, if we don't have some sort of unifying effort, right, like a people's coalition, so to speak, where we can coalesce around it, we're going to fail. We're bound to fail.
Well, it's what I've written a book on it. This Our English Civilization. We must restore the roots and principles and practices of the English civilization as the core, and we must return to constitutionality. A forced return to constitutionality, because voting harder isn't going to do it.
Yeah, we're not going to be able to vote our way out of it.
No. But we still have to go through the motions. We still have to go through the process. We still have to do everything we can to try and reset it. So again, the founding fathers of the country for 20 plus years, almost 30 years before the Declaration of Independence, did absolutely everything they could within the strictures of the system, knowing full well that they were not, well, in the latter half of that effort, knowing full well they were not going to succeed through the system, and that there was every likelihood that they were going to have to go to, to blood at some point to have any real recourse. But they went through all of the processes, as you're doing, as others are doing, in order that when it went to blood, we have as much legitimacy within the constructs of the English Constitution at that time, and now the American Constitution is absolutely possible. And we had a substantive and broad and deep body of evidence of how the judiciary had been corrupted and used against, the colonials. And that all had to happen. That's all happening. That's all. There's a lot of solid things happening. Anybody who thinks, however, that those solid things happen are going to stop, the shedding of blood, I think is a little missing the mark.
Yeah, look, we can already see that blood has been shed, but it's been our blood that's shed. But
Yes.
we maintain this decorum. We maintain this
civility.
Civility, right? It's false civility, though. I mean, let's be honest. If we go into another country and bomb the shit out of it, and we can do all the things that we do in other countries, and have Israel go in and destroy Lebanon. Now look, I'm not anti-Israel because part of my family is Jewish. My whole family is mixed. But I think that the leadership that we have is rotted to the core on both sides. And you can't talk about civility and talk about being peaceful while you're out there just destroying people and murdering people in the street and having judges and put them back on the street.
Well, it's like the serial killer getting upset at me because I spoke to him indelicately.
Yeah. Well, I think that people have had enough, and I think they see the rotted judges for what they are, just rotted trash.
Well, I want to go back to something you said earlier, Joe, and again, this gets something I articulated too. We need to be very careful and not believe that all of these people are just evil and malevolent. Many of them are, as you are brought up in your entry, many of them are afraid because there are murders that happen all the time. There are packets of photos of people's kids that show up all the time. There are, the children or siblings of people who get corrupted with drugs and prostitution and other things all the time.
Owned.
Right? And so the thought that the mob, the mob state isn't doing mob shit everywhere all the time. You asked, where did this start? Well, what is this? What we're looking at, and people could look at it exactly, we're looking at Tammany Hall countrywide. And we're looking at Tammany Hall particularly as it was dramatically accentuated in and around Prohibition. Everything that we have now is just the illusion of an economy and an illusion of a country, and everything that we have increasingly since the Prohibition is a mob state. And there is no way to vote your way out of a mob state, particularly when the mob directly, and I've written on this extensively, directly fused or even fostered the intelligence agencies in the 1940s, starting in 1941 with Operation Underwood.
We spent a lot of time, people want to talk to me about what happened in the past, and I'm like, all right, well, the strategy going forward is we have a chessboard in front of us right now. Let's play the chess pieces as they sit. And it's good to understand what happened in the past, but it leads people down a path where they start hitting the brakes, because then they start thinking that the landscape is 80 years old. It's not. Landscape's not 80 years old. The landscape is 2 days old, 3 days old, 5 days old, 10 days old.
The landscape's over 100 years old. And the problem is if we keep trying to play the game that's in front of us right now, every aspect of the game is within the bounds of the enemy, and they have a counter for all of it 10 times over.
Well, let me be the arbiter of reality for this really quick. So I think we're talking past each other in a lot of different ways, because when we start looking at what chess pieces are on the table, and I'll just use elections as an example, right? They have set paint dry. They have set these pieces in place in order to make sure that they can maintain and select at will whatever they want at any time. So the only way that you actually stop that is you destroy the chess pieces. You take them completely off the table and make them have to reset so that you can see it again. Because then it pushes us to a place where now we're standing toe to toe and you can't move the goalposts anymore.
So I don't disagree with that, but so I don't disagree with that. So let me try and further clarify what I'm saying. Okay. I fundamentally agree with you. What we need to be very conscious of is that we really understand what the pieces really are,
Right.
because they have set up deceptive pieces and feints and faults so that we are going after things that look very real and very substantive, but aren't, because power's actually over there, or the threat's coming from over there.
Okay, so let's examine this from the standpoint of we know we're headed towards something. You're like, Joe, it's just going to happen. In all the times that I've been overseas, I'll use that as an example because the temperature there in most countries it's delicate. The reason why you can actually affect the sovereignty of a nation is because they're very limited by their spectrum. It's like really short, right? They react to everything in front of them. So you can, it doesn't take much for the intelligence community to just go in there and screw it up because they're just haven't evolved. They haven't gone through as much stuff as everyone else. So, but when you look at it, there's never been there has never been a spontaneity. What is wrong
Spontaneity.
with spontaneity that actually led to it? It was always a geared event towards something, and there was always a catalyst at the front of that spear, right? Always. I don't think there's ever been a time that let's just go into and have a riot or go in and have mass.
Well, but that's very different because we've been actively moving against them and working against them. A civil war is a civil war in the English civilization is a very different thing. The first Civil War become a revolution launched because of an action, I think on this day or yesterday, where the National Guard in Massachusetts tried to go move and confiscate weapons. And there was a reaction. Now, yes, there were some movements, et cetera, ahead of time, et cetera, but it was for all intents and purposes, it was a spontaneous reaction amongst a small group of Massachusetts boys that said, no, we're not going to let you do this. And everything followed from there. Now, yes, all kinds of conditions and preconditions and all that have been set. But when it comes down to it, what launched it was a somewhat of a random accident. And so I'm not saying that all the machinations and movements to some conflagration starting off haven't happened. Yes, of course. But when the event itself goes, it's somewhat kind of random. Meaning you can't predict ahead what specific thing will set it off.
Well, I look currently at the number of people that are awake, and the average age is about 60.
Yeah, but look at us. Right. Look at us today, Joe. I turned 59 a couple of weeks ago, and I got gray and all that, but I hardly got any wrinkles, et cetera. A whole lot of us in our late, mid 50s, Gen X, the ones that aren't dead already,
built different.
Yeah, we just aged differently. It's almost as if we were, life and biology or the gods or God in, your belief system delayed our aging and delayed our decay because there was a great work we were going to have to lift sometime later in life, which would be normally historically the end of other people's lives.
Yeah, I believe that because I was playing around with a friend of mine and he wanted to wrestle, right? And it's been a long time since I've, and I double-legged him and took him down. He's 20 years old. He's like, my goodness, what just happened to me?
Well, right? You had old man strength going for you. I had both old man and retard strength going for me still.
Yeah, I talk about it all the time. I mean, I said, do not sleep on me. Do not sleep. I promise you. I practice things. Like I practice with my guns, and I practice with my hands, and I practice with, and I think we are built different. I think we are, our generation of men is built different, but there are a bunch of men in our generation that are they're just a bunch of pussies. I mean,
that's the way it always is, but it unfortunately doesn't take a whole generation. It only takes about 7 to 10% of a generation, and it only takes 1 to 3% active across all generations for these things to happen.
Yeah. So you put out an article. I want to talk a little bit about it. Can we put that up?
Yeah.
And let me just summarize this a little bit. So you talk about America's real war, and this is the thing that got me, I think, the most, was it's not overseas. It's right here. Like, it's right here in our backyard. And, you know, I know you're not a very spiritual person. I pray for you just because I want you to know Jesus, but we've had that conversation before. But we're in this fight. Young people especially have lost the fundamental that it doesn't matter what book you read. It's all based on some sort of survival hope, right?
Yes.
They don't have any of it.
No.
So
explain
this article to us.
Give me a second. Until such a thing happened in my own life, in my own family, and I've had to deal with it as a father. And until such time as I talked to a couple other fathers and then realized every single one I talked to was dealing with this same similar thing in their own family, from kids ranging from about age 12 into their late 20s. And since in the last month or so that I've finally talked to some friends and some people, and then they're articulating themselves and it's about 60% of families that are dealing with at least one child who's been absolutely and utterly emotionally, psychologically destroyed by, the enemy. The very same people who rigged all the elections and all of that have been using nonprofits and NGOs to wage war on our children in absolutely every way possible, to demoralize and drive our children into a place of despondency and despair and self-destruction, so that they're not available. They don't have the emotional and cognitive capacities to see the system for what it is and to stand against it with us.
No, I totally agree with you, but I think that in large part it's because we got our hamster wheel in our generation, specifically, maybe the one right after us, got bigger. It took more energy to actually turn it. It took more meat off the bone.
Yeah, well, that's the resentfuls, right? The resentfuls are always expanding the complexity of the artificial reality tunnel. The real problem is that, and I'll go to your faith and use it as an example. We went from faith in our God, faith in our gods, faith in our civilization, to faith in money, and we all chased money. And money is the tool, and money and wealth, money equivalents, and that's the tool and the wealth of the enemy. And whenever you're using the tool and you're pursuing the tool and the wealth of the enemy as a measure of success, you are feeding the destruction of yourself and your family and your children and your descendants.
So but you went into actually more depth, and I'd like you to expand on that, because I mean you just simplified something that I found fascinating when I read it, because it was not complex. It was very simplified, but it brought in all the other aspects of what we're dealing with, not just young people, but how we take care of those young people. How do we service? I mean, there's so many opportunities for us to take the wrong move, because there's so many other influences in society that even if you were able to course correct your children, there's all these things pushing in on them, saying, no, don't try. He's stupid. Your dad is stupid. Your mom's stupid. Yeah. Right? So you're being demoralized in your children's eyes by the outside world, and instead of trusting and leaning into the family, they find themselves leaning into all of these perversions.
Well, and not just that, but they wind up turning on their own children. As useless, as troubled, as this or that, and they don't take a step back and look at how did that child get into that position. Well, twofold. One, the enemy was distracting us with all these other high-level hamster wheel fights, while they were steadily every day in the schoolroom and on social media and in media itself going after our kids. And our kids were doing absolutely everything they could. I've watched it in my own, to maintain their sanity and try to get our attention. But we were too busy fighting big fights until 5 years, 10 years, 12 years, 18 years later, and we realize our child has been destroyed, and maybe permanently.
Well, I need to, so I mean, look, I think I'm immensely blessed. Both of my children are in their 20s, and I spend a rock solid amount of time making sure that I don't lose them. Right. I mean, it doesn't matter if I even get an inclination that one of my kids is going off the deep end or is seeing things. I go, I'll be there tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, a lot of us spent a decade or more in war.
Yeah.
Or we spent a decade or so in, corporate or business war, sometimes 2 decades. A lot of us, more than 50% of us have been through at least one divorce, and the family courts throw nuclear weapons into our children on purpose. That's the most destructive. If we were to do away with one thing that I think would help set this country right, it would be do away with family court and the whole practice of family law and all of it. This is an evil, evil system. But
well, it's designed to create chaos and pain, because chaos.
Well,
and pain
it's designed to drive men and women apart. It's designed to destroy men, but realistically, what it is designed to do is destroy our children, so that this evil, malevolent, resentful system doesn't have future generations to stand against it. And now it's to such a degree that they're just outright replacing us with entirely different populations of slaves, because it's exactly what it is. They are fully committed on sustaining their economic lie by returning to outright slave labor. That's what it is. That's what we're dealing with. And that's what the stakes are.
So I need to I need to put some bookends on your article. And by the way, we put it in all the deals, so you can in all the chats, so you can actually see it. If you're listening to this on the Apple Podcast or Google Podcast or Spotify or any of those, just pay attention a little bit further. We'll give you the information on how to get a hold of or read this from EM. But I want to I'm going to read something, and I'm going to bookend it with something else you said. So two distinct paragraphs in this. This wasn't collateral damage. This was the main effort. The long war, the smart war, the one that cost nothing in headlines and everything that matters. While we were out winning every gunfight, every boardroom knife fight, every election, and every border skirmish, they were busy at the kitchen table and the classroom desk and the pediatrician's office, turning our blood into ghosts. You ended it with this. Because there's another fight waging within the hearts and minds of the souls of our young every millisecond of the day that can't be lost. A war that's been waging for more than a decade, and that they're losing by the hundreds of thousands every single day. A war that cannot fucking wait. The horizon can wait. Our descendants, the kids, cannot. So I need to ask you this question, and I don't have permission to ask this question to you. EM, you're going through this, I assume, now.
Oh, yeah. So is a lot of others.
I don't want to talk about a lot of others. I want to talk about you, because you're actually the one working it out, trying to work the problem to get to the solution. So you have how many children?
Just the one.
And your one child is going through this right now.
Oh, yeah.
And so you're running after her?
You can't run after them. Their reality's been warped and twisted so much you can't run after them, particularly not if you're a man, particularly not if a man of strength and substance. You have to stand still, and you have to let them smash themselves against you every once in a while. And then you have to stand firm and not react and not respond. I mean, some things you do have to say for their safety and security, but you don't chase them. And you let them know that when they bounce off, when they're ready to come back, you're standing in the same place. All right, in the same way.
So is it more important to stand in the same place, or is it more important to pursue them so that they know you don't want them to be lost? I think this is the thing that I struggled with the most with my kids.
So reaching out to them, yes, maintaining a tethered connection, yes, but chasing them, no, because first off, they have to work certain things out on their own. And they're not going to be able to do that if that is the thing they have to do on their own. They need to know they can come somewhere safely. They need to know just beyond the parent, there's a whole network of family that they can go to and talk to.
The tribe,
right? And each of the tribe members are different, although the tribe is the tribe, and you're going to pretty much get the same answer. So you're not going to be able to play the mommy-daddy game, right? one of the things that does give me great heart is, because my daughter's turning 18 here soon, and so she's in the heat of it, of those, final big decisions about life, is that most of the same guys I talk to, most of them, not all of them, but most of the same guys I talk to whose kids are in their 20s, mid 20s on, their kids came back home and are doing pretty good.
Yeah.
Right. But unfortunately, some have lost their kids permanently, suicide or overdoses, et cetera, or just straight up madness, just
Right.
went fully insane. And it seems that if girls have had a good, solid father and he's been there enough of the time and in enough of the ways, that she'll come back to him at some point. But we can't chase them, partly because of what that does is it feeds the madness. And this is, back to the earlier things and then the piece I wrote. And I thought about that this morning and wrote it out. And I don't have it memorized because I just was feeling it. And I wrote it out this morning. And I'm writing a book right now called The Art of Being a Woman, to follow up The Art of Being a Man, which is 101 meditations to try and help my daughter and other daughters, because most of the guys I'm talking to, we keep talking about how demoralized and messed up the young men are and how weak, et cetera. But when I look, all the men that have daughters, their daughters are just a wreck. A wreck.
Yeah.
And because if you're going to demoralize and destroy a civilization, a civilizational people, you go after the women, you go after the girls and the women.
Yeah, maybe I'm just naive. I don't know. I pursued my daughter. I mean, she was so mad at me. I mean, this is me laying on the couch. You can charge me per hour. But my daughter and I became not estranged, but pretty much estranged when she was 16. Right. So
yeah.
I came home. I stopped working overseas.
Yeah.
I committed to be a dad. And then I had to make some hard decisions because she was a hard-headed, strong-willed
our children. There are children.
Oh yeah, there are children for sure. I just wanted to come out the other end of it. And I used to crack jokes about what I would do if they did drugs. So they didn't do drugs. They didn't.
Yeah.
They just were great kids. And then 16 happened. Boys happened. Remember the first boy she brought home? I was like, "What are your intentions with my daughter?" He didn't last like 5 minutes. She's like, "If you can't handle my dad."
Yeah.
This kid, I don't remember what he said, but I think it was, "I don't think anybody can handle your dad." I was like, good answer.
Yeah.
But my daughter's always told me the truth. She's always told me the truth. And there was this time that things just splintered. And it took me, man, she went to college. And I remember going to college and I'd just show up. Like I'd just show up at her front door. She was in Florida. She wanted to get as far away from me as possible. And I remember going down there and just being like, all right, let's go to dinner because I don't have time till Wednesday. Jesus, like it's Monday morning. I'm like, okay. So I stuck around, I stuck around for 2 days just to have, she goes, "Do you have work down here?" "Nope. I just came down to see you." Let me get this straight. You sat here for 2 days waiting to have dinner with me? Yeah, you're right. I did.
Yeah. So Joe, I think again, you and I have a slightly different linguistic style, right?
Yeah.
But we're talking the same thing. So that to me isn't chasing, that's showing up.
Yeah.
And showing up is absolutely essential, right?
But chasing is couch.
Yeah, well, chasing is I'm feeding their madness, or I'm feeding their anger, or I'm feeding, what I mean? I'm validating it. No, let that burn out. But then showing up every time, right? That's absolutely essential. I'm fundamentally in agreement with that.
Yeah.
I did the same. I was working with the Buffetts, got a message from the ex-wife and came all the way back across the country within 2 days. And she's been with me ever since. And I've been working from home and doing all, stop the traveling and stop doing all that stuff to be here.
Yeah, no, it's you have to make sure that's your priority, but man, boy, it was tough there. A couple years, man. I would always tell her I loved her. I would end the call with "I love you," and she got to this thing where she'd be like, "You love ya." I just irritated, but I never said anything. Sometimes she still does it. And I'm like, oh, and she does it on purpose, just to like, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say I love you. I'm going to make sure I change my what I say to you.
Yeah.
Which also gives me the indication of when she's mad at me. I know when she's mad at me because of that. So, but
yeah, just annoyed.
It took me
women
years.
get annoyed a lot.
Yeah. But they do come back. right? They do come back if you do show up. I think that's
well, and that's, so Joe, that's a great point. I mean, that's, what do our children need? Quite honestly, we need to stay fighting all these other things, but we have to show up for our children now. And we need to continue to show up for our children in every way, or we'll win all these other battles, all these other fights, and we'll lose the actual war.
Yeah.
And that's really what they need from us now, is that we keep showing up, and they're going to test the hell out of us, because very much what you said, they've been taught to distrust us. They've been taught to, to believe that we're idiots. They've been taught to believe that we're bigots and misogynists and all these other fancy words,
Isms.
right?
All the
all the words that turn me on now, because, that's what the state of mind you got to get to, right?
Yeah.
But they've been taught indoctrinated, and still are, through social media and friend groups and education, all this other stuff, that we are the enemy. Okay, well, let's just keep showing up. And let's, I have a saying that, man is the unmovable object and women are the unstoppable force. Well, I would broaden that a little bit. Our kids have all been taught to be women, male or female.
Yeah.
And so they're all unstoppable forces at this point.
Yeah. So that leads me to kind of my issue with our side of the fence, let's call it, the ethical part of the fence, is that in large part, gray hairs, blue hairs, whatever you want to call us, right? I have a little less gray hair, but you have a couple years on me, but I'm catching up to you.
I see it.
I'm picking it up.
Mine went sudden, by the way. Yeah, goes sudden.
But we also haven't given them a seat at the table. We haven't empowered them and showed them that, hey, listen, that we keep doing this thing where we're like, hurry up. I mean, look at the average age of Congress, or average age of people that are in positions of power and authority. The only people that are giving people any time that young people is a bunch of retards that are letting other retards run for office.
Let's be careful. It's not retards. These are insane people, and there's a distinction. These aren't retards. They're insane, and insane can be very brilliant, but insane.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that. I would agree with that. I call them retards because
it's fun.
Yeah,
it's fun.
I love that word. I do. I do love that word.
Yeah,
I'm gonna bring that word back. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna write a whole book called "Retard." I'm just gonna, how you can use.
Can we throw in for the high level retards? We start calling them droolers again.
Yeah. If we're gonna get in trouble today, let's go
all the way in, man. Let's go all in. Yeah, that's what I say. I said that the world started going to shit when we started taking retards to the zoo.
Yeah. Well, let's let me just ask your opinion on this specifically. Yeah. Can we come back if we give kids the ability to have the reins? I truly believe that the key is letting them fall down, skin their knees, and know that even if it hurt, it didn't hurt so bad you don't want to skin your knees again. That's like one of the things we used to jump trash cans, and when we fell, it freaking hurt, right?
Yeah.
We were like, rub some dirt in it. I'm gonna land it this time, right? That type of mentality is not there. It's bubble wrap, wear a helmet, right? Mouth guard.
So yes, and qualified. Okay, so yes, we absolutely have to do that, but we have to qualify it with our kids have not had any real wins for so long that they don't know what success requires, even in the smallest thing. So you can't give them any real power, but over anything major substantive. But we do have to start giving them decision-making powers, and we do need to start holding them accountable for poor decisions while being the instructor, the teacher, or pointing them to an instructor or a teacher in that domain. We do need to do that with a concept, so in special operations in the Green Berets, we have a methodology we do where we're training forces, and then we take them through escalating levels of confidence targets. And we do retraining, after action reviews, et cetera. And we need to do that with our kids so we can run them through a bunch of iterations of leadership where they get it right and wrong. And what are they doing? They're building confidence. They're getting past because one of the things the younger generation can't handle is failure.
I agree with that. Fully.
They just can't handle it, right? And which is
they were given
kind of what you were saying. Well, that's exactly. Well, and that's the thing. One of the things I notice about this younger generation is they're ludicrously good at gaming the system. They're all like freaking jail yard lawyers.
Yeah.
Right.
True
So
story.
what we have to do is we have to let them know that, okay, well, if you're going to act like you're in the gang yard, I'm the gang boss. Right. You're in the jail yard. Well, I'm
Drop the
actually
bar
a
on you.
gang boss. Right. And you're going to have to earn your way up the ladder in this gang.
Yeah, so I think they have gamed the system. I will tell you this, social experiment, I don't know if there's any sort of data that would point to it, but I coached soccer for my son for 14 seasons.
Wow.
And I didn't play soccer, but so I had to go learn. So I went and played soccer, and I got kicked out twice. I got 2 red cards, kicked out for an entire year at one point. But I was actually pretty good. I learned to be, I'm just good at sports. So I learned to be an athlete. But when I had these kids from 5 years old on, when I had these kids I had the same kids for those 14 seasons, almost 8 years. We won in those 14 seasons 11 cups, right? Colorado Cups.
Impressive. 11.
Twice we went to go to a deal, and then we got like 6th place. Every time we moved up, it was, you want to just push it, right? And we were like 6th place, and they brought us these awards. And I handed the awards back to him, and I pushed it into his chest. And I was like, yeah, my kids don't get, no, it's not going to happen. And he's like, you need to give them to your kids. And I was like, yeah, I think you need to step away. At one point, when the kids were like 12 years old, the other coach, I was a yeller. I was like, use your body, set up the line, get down there, use your body. And I'd be yelling at him where to be in position. And we had plays on the deal. And the parent on the other team said, because I used to tell the kids, you win as a team, you lose as a team, you fight as a team, you score as a team. And we would do this while they're doing push-up. I would make them I would make them run till they threw up. Right. I was that guy. Right. And everyone said, the parents were like, the kids come home, and one of them said, Joe, it's really weird is that no matter what you do to them, they love you. Right.
Yeah.
And
father.
And it was, but all of my kids that were on that team, they are all excellent. They're not just good, they were excellent young people today. And seeing them thrive with that same behavior, we win as a team, we lose the team. I'd make them stay in the push-up position for like 3 minutes, right? And they'd be pissed. And I was like, I don't want to hear it. Then quit. Yeah. But every one of them, I was at a mall, and the kid, Coach Joe. I turn around, kid I haven't seen in like 4 or 5 years, came up and gave me a big hug. So, but all of my boys are all doing really well in life.
Wonderful,
right? And so I wonder if that hard line that we don't think that we can push on these young people, if we started to push those limits on what we teach them, because even our military, the training is.
Well, it gets to what I said. All of our kids for the last 25, maybe 30, 40 years have been raised to be women. What they need, both male and female, is a man. They need father, whether it's their own father or some other father. What the world is missing is fatherhood. And it ain't easy being father in a world that's trained everybody to be a girl and be an unhealthy girl.
Right.
And so how do you stand in that? And how do you continue to stand in that? And then how do you start parsing off the boys so that they can be boys? They can be men. They can grow into be men. And that's one path. And then how do you parse off your girls so that they can grow on to be girls and stop being some hybrid male female kind of thing.
Right.
Right. And this is not an easy journey, and we need to do it. And we need to do it exactly as you said. We need to do it as a tribe in our communities, family first, right? Family and close network first, but then communities. We have got to retake our schools. We have got to retake our education. If that doesn't work, just pull your damn kids out of school. Let that whole edifice collapse.
I agree
all
with
of
you
it.
fully.
We need to go after social media hard. And I don't mean regulate and, restriction, give more government power, et cetera, but we do need to go after content restrictions. We do need to go after parental controls for ages all the way up to 25.
Are you serious?
Because the brain's not done developing until the age of 25.
I think if you're 18 years old, you're old enough to die for your country. You can trip and fall.
Can't buy alcohol till you're 21. Can't buy weapons in certain states until you're 21.
Yeah, that's true. But I don't think those were.
Those are life and death. The point is, this is life and death, and we don't understand that, right? At 18 years old, I've got 18-year-olds running around. Their brains are not even close to develop.
Yeah, but you have 18-year-olds that are in the military that can go die for their country.
Okay, have you been around 18-year-old privates? They're dumb as.
Oh, I know. There's a couple of them that are actually not so bad.
18, 19-year-old privates, and now they're learning to be good, and they volunteered for at least the first time, and so they're on a better path. But I'm not gonna lie, I was dumb as hell at 18, 19 years old. I was just a big dumb jock.
That's exactly.
Who would love chemistry and physics and math, but I was a big dumb, dorky jock.
I chased tail. That's what I did at 18, 19. Did everything I shouldn't have done at 18 or 19 years old.
I think that's what we're supposed to be doing at 18 or 19, historically. Yeah. But
before Jesus for me.
Yeah, I don't think he'd be offended, right? No. But our real wars at home, we've been losing that war because we haven't even been fighting it.
I would agree with that.
And
what's next? When's the book going to be done?
So As Rome Burns is out now. I'm going up and meet with a movie producer and some backers here in Coeur d'Alene here this week to talk about maybe turn it into a series or a movie or something. The As England Burns is started. I put the first chapter up. It's going to be released as a serial. It's going into how the war is being fought. It'll go into these things. It'll go into how, like the EU is now trying to use bureaucratic systems to steal Norway's sovereign wealth fund. It's, goes into how governments are using the various means of bankrupting farmers and ranchers in order to the whole purpose of that is not so much the starvation, yes, but it's really about driving them into bankruptcy so that they can, financiers, financialists can come in and buy up those real estate assets dirt cheap and then use that as collateral in the banking lending system. Right. So it's going into how that's being done. And then also it'll go into detail on how the special operations and intelligence community is being gone after, with these false claims of war crimes and all this other stuff as a means to, take the war fighters and the special operations guys existing and previous off the board, but also to reduce dramatically the numbers of people who want to go into that kind of work and learn those kinds of skills, because those are a threat if and when, as we talked about earlier, things go sidewise.
Well, we know they're going to go sidewise. We just hope it goes less sidewise. But
exactly. The
less prepared people are for the go sideways part, the more danger there is for these young people, right?
Well, and partially to that, like I'll use a baseball metaphor or baseball reference. I've never played. I did play baseball a little bit, but it wasn't my sport. When you are diving for the base, you need to know where the base is, what the base is, how big it is, what's standing in between you and the base. And honestly, right now, I don't think we know what the base is. Base is our civilization. That civilization is over 1,000 years old. It's extraordinarily rich, and it has all of these defense mechanisms built into it to help us recognize this bullshit before it ever gets started, or when it gets started.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, I just now was just on there ordering your book.
Appreciate it.
You can get it on Amazon. You can also get it on Medium. You got a bunch of places you can get it
on. The ones on Medium's just a few chapters. On Substacks, the whole book is a serial, but you can buy the book as a whole from Amazon or my website, a signed copy.
Okay, so tell us where to go on the website, because I don't do business on Amazon.
Just go to the search bar and type in As Rome Burns, and it should come up.
Okay.
And then there's Kindle, paperback, and hard copy.
And then let's put this up there. Your Substack is EM Burlingame.
Substack.com.
Yeah.
Yep.
You guys put that up
there. As a serial, I'll release, so I write a chapter about stuff that's going on now as I work out what's really going on. And then I write that into the story and I release it as a chapter on Substack. And then once over, it'll take about 2 years to get through that, to work through all the complexities. And as the war is raging right now in certain parts, and then I put it all together as a formal book once it's done.
Right. Well, there it is right there. a new newsletter. Well, I got to read it because I haven't read it yet, and I do want to read the new one too. And so we'll have.
Well, that is the new one. Yeah. Oh, As England Burns. Yeah. So I'll put that up as
and you did
one of the tabs at the top there. Yeah.
You did a Substack on your England Burns.
As Rome Burns, I did each chapter as I wrote them. What I'll do is probably this week sometimes I will put another tab up at the top. It'll say As England Burns, and it'll be chapter 1.
Yeah, but I could have sworn you did a Substack where you talked about As England Burns, that you were going to be writing that book, and here's
I did. Yeah. So I referenced it in the last chapter. You're spooky man. Yeah,
brother, I appreciate you. I appreciate your heart. I appreciate you staying in the fight and sharing your knowledge with others. And I'll be praying for you. I'll be praying for your daughter and for her to come out the other end of this.
Well, let's pray for a whole lot of millions of kids, man. Let's pray for a lot of them, and let's get active.
All right.
Let's get active. Yeah. Right. Take care, bro.
God bless you, brother. Truly one of my favorite people. He's amazing. If you have not been on his Substack, go sign up for his Substack and get his book. I just did. So I remember him talking about the new book, and I'd read his other book. And I remember in the Substack he was talking about As England Burns. It's going to be a great book as well. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, this is going to be a part of the show you're going to want to listen to. Not that you didn't want to listen to that part of the show, but from my standpoint, I'm finally going to come out swinging. Well, it's too hard it's too complicated. But let me just say this. Anyone that calls you a anti-Semitist or a racist or a homophobe or anybody calls you that, they're weak. But what happens when organizations get together and they say, we're going to destroy this person? Why would they take their time? Why would they chase down Joe Oltmann? We're going to talk about that because I'm on the brink. Actually, it's going to happen. They'll probably, while this is happening, they're probably getting the phone calls that they probably didn't want to have. But that's what they did. And I went and talked to Lauren Boebert, and I was like, listen, why didn't you tell me that somebody told you to stay away from me? She's like, nobody told me to stay away from you. Well, frankly, I already have the email that says that someone did tell you to stay away from me. So it comes down to now they start protecting their own and acting as if they operate in their own concert, but they don't. They've developed this thing where they can slander people behind the scenes like they did in high school and keep other people from and send these emails, what you're about to read, what I'm about to read about the Jewish Coalition and the Anti-Defamation League. We got a new name for them, by the way, and other organizations. They go out and they destroy Americans. And they use lies and propaganda, and they defame people with impunity. And they're fully funded by our own government. They step on Americans for the value and to do the biddings of evil, demonic people. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. You're going to love this one. Hi, I'm Joe, Supreme Leader of DCF Guns. What is DCF Guns, you ask? We're the best damn gun store and range in the universe. Do we have guns? We have all the guns. We got small guns. We got big guns. We even have beastly guns. We offer all types of training, and we have 5 ranges across our 3 locations. I'm a good shot. And of course, we have all types of ammo. We even have flamethrowers. Woo! We offer incredible membership opportunities, and members save even more on guns, ammo, and accessories. Come join the DCF family today, where we keep the range hot and the deals hotter. It's hot. In every thread, in every stitch, Honor-Bound USA weaves the fabric of the American spirit. It's not just apparel, it's a testament to God, family, and country. At Honor-Bound USA, we're a family of patriots who put our faith, family, and America first. When you visit our website, you'll find a line of products that embody our commitment to pray, stand, speak, and act. As the official site for the Untamed podcast, all of our products proclaim speaking the truth with courage. We also have the powerful documentary from Professor David Clements, Let My People Go. Identify yourself as one of the few who are willing to stand for what they believe in. Join the Honor-Bound USA family today. Wear it as a badge of honor, commitment to the values that shape us, and a pledge to the bright future we will build together. Because when you're honor-bound, you're not just wearing a brand, you're embodying a lifestyle.
Tea. I bet you thought I was drinking tea, but, this glass is empty. You see that? There was no tea in there. And this isn't my hand. These are my hands. That's not real at all. You see, you're being lied to. You're being lied to. I bet you thought this was me, but no, this is just a reflection. This was all taking place on a mirror. It was all a mirror. It was all a lie. And I bet you thought I was wearing pants. I'm not wearing pants. And this isn't even my voice. I dubbed this over in post-production. You're being lied to. This is all taking place on a screen, and you are being lied to. You're being lied to.
Stan, it's not necessary for people to believe this information in order to weaken democratic institutions. You just have to flood a country's public square with enough raw sewage. You just have to raise enough questions, spread enough dirt, plant enough conspiracy theorizing that citizens no longer know what to believe. Once they lose trust in their leaders, in mainstream media, in political institutions, in each other, in the possibility of truth, the game's won.
You got the arbiters of truth, and especially with anything revolving around the Jewish people. They've captured it. Jewish people are held hostage. They have been for a very long time by evildoers that tell them they're the smarter ones. They're going to look out for you. These are the same leaders that, frankly, let October 7th happen. You can say whatever you want. 6.5 hours, we know for a fact they were told to stand down, while Hamas went in and did horrific things to the people in Israel. And we have things that we've talked about inside of Gaza. And they keep telling us, don't mind that. We had to do it. They attacked us on October 7th. Then we started seeing that Bibi was meeting with Hamas and giving them billions of dollars. And he was funding the very people that were attacking and shooting rockets into Israel. And now we have a country divided on itself. And you have LGBT, whatever you want to call it, run predominantly by these same radical synagogue of Satan individuals. And the world loses its mind. Because how dare you tell the truth in a world where I get to control the truth? And these organizations have been able to call Facebook, call X, call and silence people, keep people kicked off of platforms. Evil people that want to allow evil people who have done evil things to the people in our country, including Jewish people. And then they want to use dog whistles in order to cover up their crimes. Anti-Semite, racist, homophobe. It doesn't matter if it's true. It doesn't matter if what we're saying is meant to do what should have been done. It's biblical. the idea that you could be honest, they find offensive. And much like Galatians 4:16 says, am I the enemy because I tell you the truth? And I have to tell you, I am. There's this organization that years ago went after me because I spoke a lot of truth. And I spent a good amount of time yesterday in Glenwood Springs, Colorado. And I went there and had a meeting with 35 beautiful people that are from that community. I think it was 35, 30, 35. It's over 30. And I sat and I just told them what the truth was. And over the last 6 months, I've had people like Kyle Clark and people write articles saying that I said something I didn't say, and then conflate information and say that I called for the execution of Jews in Colorado. So they basically, it's like playing a telephone game. I call for people to be tried for treason. If they're found guilty, they should hang. And we should hang everyone that commits treason against the American people because, frankly, it's not a victimless crime. And because you can separate the evil being done by cartel judges and cartel lawyers and evil people who happen to belong to this synagogue of Satan while they hide behind it, while claiming it, so that you can't say a bad word about people who do harm to people in our community, black, white, Democrat, Republican. It basically is, it has absolutely no target other than not them, not Satanists, not terrible people. So you have the agents of the Devil's Legion, or should we call them the agents of the diabolical lies, or should we call them the advocates of the devil's lies, or should we call them the architects of demonic libel? The Anti-Defamation League, by any other name, would be true. Because the only thing the Anti-Defamation League is are liars. And the Jewish coalition in Colorado, disgusting that they would do what they did and then stand behind it. I had to spend about 8 hours going through every single video where I talked about people being hung for treason. And at no time did I ever say that my political opponents should be hung and call for the assassination or the murder of innocent people. Quite the opposite. And instead, I have to take and look at myself as a self-loathing individual while they bully with impunity and try to destroy prospects to fix the system that these evil demons don't want to fix. That's why they wrote what they wrote. See, there's a difference between the Jewish people and the Jewish demonic people who are literally hiding their people, hiding these demonic people among good people. And I said before, you're going to hear what I said, actually. I'm going to read it to you. These people sent a letter to the Colorado GOP. And one of the people in the leadership of the Colorado GOP, because I'm running for the state chair position, as a guy, by the way, that has more talents and abilities, I'm literally like the Patrick McCombs of being able to fix all of this. I am the Roger Starbuck. I am I have talents that nobody else could fix the state of Colorado's GOP except for me. No one. When I stepped out to run for governor, we had the group. We had this group of people, this Jewish group of people that decided they were going to slander me and they were going to bully the Colorado GOP. I couldn't figure out why certain people said, I don't like you. Why? They wouldn't tell me. Turns out that the Anti-Defamation League with these other two organizations leading it bullied the Colorado GOP and created an environment that made them not want to have me come to certain events. And then they lied about it. They did it behind the scenes. They conspired together to slander me as much as they can. Now, why would the Anti-Defamation League and these people have such a vested interest in stopping Joe Oltmann from coming into the most corrupt and broken state in the entire country and fixing it in the governor's race? Why would they do that? Why would they be so afraid of me? Why are they so afraid? I'll tell you why. They're afraid because the truth is a great equalizer. And a guy like me that knows how to fix stuff that frankly is just a unicorn, I become a danger to evil people that want to hide behind good people because I see them for what they are, evil. So they sent a letter to the Colorado GOP, and I want to read this letter to you. Let's read the letter, shall we? I don't see how you put it up so I can actually read it here. Let me just give me 1 second so I can pull it on my side because, frankly, it is not clear. And just so we're clear, the phone call that I got was, Joe, are you an anti-Semite? And I said, no, I'm not. So let me read this to you. This is from the Colorado Jewish Action Alliance, the ADL Mountain States, and the Jewish Colorado Community Relations Council. Okay? These organizations came together on the top of this in order to slander me with impunity and to do actual harm. It did actual harm because there was a contract that I did not receive as a result of this. So there is massive amounts of damage that this has been done. And I'm going to find out just how deep it goes. And it was sent to the House Minority Leader and the Senate Minority Leader at the legislature as well. So they wanted to do as much damage as they possibly could to muzzle me. Dear Chairman Horn, we are deeply disturbed by the repeated public statements made by Republican gubernatorial candidate Joe Oltmann calling for the execution of Jewish elected officials in Colorado. Just so you know, that's not what I said. Not at all. But let's not let the truth get in the way of these liars. On behalf of the Colorado Jewish Action Alliance, ADL Mountain States, and the Jewish Community Relations Council, we write to express our alarm that the dangerous anti-Semitic rhetoric continues to go uncondemned and unchallenged within the Colorado Republican Party's political discourse. These remarks are profoundly disturbing, dangerous, and incompatible with societal norms and public safety. Mr. Oltmann has repeatedly used dehumanizing anti-Semitic language to describe Jewish elected officials in Colorado, referring to them as the synagogue of Satan Jews. Notice how, by the way, they capitalized Satan. Pay attention to that. And has explicitly called for their execution. These statements are not political rhetoric or hyperbole. They are direct advocacy for violence rooted in anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. Even more troubling, Mr. Oltmann repeated the rhetoric publicly again at the Women of Weld County debate last week. Calls for the execution of Jewish public officials invoke the darkest chapters of Jewish history and mirror the language of modern extremist movements. This harm is not abstract. When a political candidate normalizes violent anti-Semitic rhetoric, it places Jewish leaders, the broader Jewish community, and all people at heightened risk. Such language lowers the threshold for real-world violence and signals to extremists that such views are acceptable, even encouraged. Mr. Oltmann's statement do not exist in isolation. Here you go. This is more. He has a documented history of promoting conspiracy theories rooted in long-standing anti-Semitic tropes about hidden elites and a so-called deep state, including leaders' online spaces that trafficked in conspiracy-laden narratives during the pandemic. These narratives have long been used to justify harassment, exclusion, and violence against Jews and other marginalized communities. When a political party allows a candidate to repeatedly call for the execution of Jewish officials to appear on debate stages, attend party events, or otherwise receive tacit legitimacy, it sends a message that the behavior falls within acceptable bounds of political discourse. It does not. We are calling on the Colorado Republican Party to take immediate and unequivocal action. Number one, publicly and clearly denounce Mr. Oltmann's anti-Semitic rhetoric and calls for political violence, which never happened. Pardon, that's not in the letter, by the way. Refuse to provide him with platforms, including party-sponsored events, debates, or forums. affirm publicly that calls for violence against Jewish leaders, or any leaders for that matter, have no place in Colorado politics, regardless of party affiliation. This is not about ideology or partisan disagreement. It's about public safety, moral leadership, and the responsibility political institutions have to draw clear lines against hate and incitement. Silence, delay, and ambiguity in moments like this exacerbates harm. We urge you to act swiftly and decisively. Colorado's Jewish community and all those who value public safety and human dignity are watching closely. Sincerely, Stephanie Clark and Mindy Miller of the Colorado Jewish Action Alliance, Susan Rona at the ADL Mountain States, that's the Big Liars, the Devil's Liars organization, and then you have Brandon Ratner at the Colorado Jewish Community Relations Council. Now, what these people don't seem to understand is that I was very careful. When I say things, it's true. And many people in the Jewish community believe that the people that are making decisions like this are demonic, but they are also held hostage by the same thing where they can be captured by people that would allow 6.5 hours to go by while people come in and slaughter and rape innocent men, women, and children. And if you think this is about anti-Semitism, I can promise you this. I've never asked a person, are you Jewish, you Christian, when I sat and helped them. And for these pieces of trash, because they're afraid of me, this is why they limit and create and send letters to different social media platforms. Well, this just gave me enough information and enough ammunition that I can also use this to go after Kyle Clark, because they actually showed the Kyle Clark clip in the email that was sent over to the Colorado Republican Party saying, you should kick this guy off. And they grabbed a little soundbite. Because I speak truth, and because I have an opportunity to always speak truth, they want to use this to silence me, because they know that if I can do anything, I can fix things. I can make it so that people that are marginalized, truly marginalized, people that aren't taken care of, people that are betrayed by the very people they say they represent, once they wake up to the idea that the very people that said that, hey, go over there, those are the people that hurt you. When they wake up to the reality that they're sitting there stabbing them over and over again and betraying every part of who they are in the community, including the people who are Jewish, you will get to a different outcome. And I told you, I told Brandon, I clearly told him, I was like, I sent a letter. In response to this, I gave him the opportunity to sit down with me. I said, sit down. Let's have a conversation. I'll give you until Friday. And then I'm going to become litigious. I just transferred a bunch of money into an account and said, let's go for it. You want to cost me? You want to lie about me? You want to use your bully stick in order to stop the political process and interfere with it? Let's go. And the bad part about all this is that how he responded. So let's go to my letter. Can we go to my letter real quick? Gentlemen, I'm addressing both of you directly in this matter, yet this is more for Brandon to address. However, for transparency reasons related to the undermentioned, Russ, after our conversation reviewing this information, I understand why you're relying on the slanderous claims presented to you by interested parties about me. Brandon, you actively perpetrated these false accusations through secret communications, using lies, twisted rhetoric, and conjecture to defame me and attempt to freeze me out of the Republican Party, among other attempts that include politicians and industry. Brandon, the letter you helped author and send on behalf of the COJAA, ADL, and the JCRC are calumnious. It explicitly accuses me of repeatedly calling for the execution of Jewish elected officials in Colorado, labeling my statements as directly advocating for violence rooted in anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. You and other signatories demanded that the Colorado Republican Party denounce me, deny me platforms, and treat my words as incitement. I am also in possession of additional correspondence in which you have urged similar actions against me with other individuals or entities. These coordinated behind closed-door efforts by the organizations involved represents a deliberate attempt to destroy the reputations and political prospects of those who are challenging certain narratives, all while operating in secret to influence party leadership and members. Such institutional pressure tactics undermine the integrity of the Republican Party and the democratic process in Colorado. The resulting harm to me personally and to my company have been significant. Here's the fundamental issue. I am more than 25% Jewish by heritage, with family members in both Israel and the United States. I am not self-loathing. I have visited Israel multiple times, and maintained close relationships with rabbi friends and Jewish families who understand my positions clearly. I have never called for Jews or any group to be assassinated or harmed based on their ethnicity or faith. My criticisms have always targeted specific individuals for their actions in office, particularly those I view as engaging in treasonous or deeply harmful conduct against the state, nation, and its people. I distinguish sharply between good people of Jewish faith and those I have described using biblical language as a part of the synagogue of Satan, a reference to evil actors, not the ethnic or religious group as a whole. The distinction is critical to, as warned in Scripture, Revelations 2:9 states, I know thy works and tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich, and I know the blasphemy of them who say they are Jews, and they are not, but they are the synagogue of Satan. And Revelations 3:9 adds, behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews, and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved thee. Allowing evil people to falsely claim representation of the Jewish community while hiding behind the identity to carry out harmful deeds creates real danger, not for the broader community, but for honest discourse and public safety. Conflating legitimate criticism of specific bad actors with anti-Semitism fuels dangerous ignorance and stereotypes, much like historical efforts to paint entire communities with the actions of a few. Attempting to politically assassinate opponents through back-channel smears and institutional pressure is precisely the type of coordinated defamation that relevant laws are designed to address. Brandon, I'm providing you with the one opportunity to sit down and resolve this matter amicably with all relevant parties present. If it would be better for all parties to be present with legal representation in the meeting, I think that is equally acceptable. Should you decline or fail to respond substantively by the end of the week, Friday, April 17, 2026, I will have no choice but pursue all available remedies that will include publishing the full chain of correspondence, including your emails and the January 29, 2026 letter by the COJAA, ADL, and the JCRC, addressing this matter publicly on my platforms and in detail with broader Republican membership and Colorado voters. I believe that in transparency, and I think it's important to see how political organizations conspire to hurt others with lies. One way or another, this will be resolved either through honest dialogue or through the court of public opinion and litigation. I'm prepared for both. I think you're aware, as all organizations you brought into this intended disparagement, that I will fight bad people to the end. Your actions spreading false accusations of anti-Semitism and calls for violence behind closed doors while holding office or influential positions represents a clear attempt to silence political opposition through defamation and institutional pressure. People of Colorado deserve transparency on how certain individuals and organizations are working to control narratives and eliminate candidates who challenge the status quo. I intend to ensure they receive it. A private good faith meeting can prevent unnecessary escalation, continued concealment, and attacks will only bring greater scrutiny to everyone. I await your prompt response and will keep my word that until your good faith effort is to resolve this, please share with your colleagues as appropriate. Russ, I do appreciate the opportunity to clarify and correct the record, as well to give you insight. I will keep you informed on how this unfolds. Warm regards, Joe. And this piece of trash, Brandon, says we stand by our letter, which reflects concerns based on your public statements. See, here's the problem, Brandon, you little punk. Let me just tell you what I think. You're probably a little midget. You're probably like 4 feet tall, right? But let me just put this in perspective for you. You did not just say that we have reflex of concerns. You went out to destroy an individual and to slander that individual publicly in a way to disengage the Republican Party with people. I mean, you sent it to the minority leaders. You sent it to everyone. You wanted to make sure everyone knew that Joe Oltmann said the things that he didn't say. And you didn't clarify it. You didn't clean it up. You used it to harm someone. That's the definition of defamation. And what is more disgusting is that our state is literally rotted to the core right now because of pieces of shit like you. I won't apologize for it. I won't apologize for talking and speaking the truth. And your organizations do not represent the Jewish people. You represent yourself and hiding in plain sight Satanists, people that are terrible, that have done terrible things to the people of our state. third worst state in the country to live in, most dangerous state in the country to live in. People are dying of fentanyl. Children are being abused at a regular basis in places like Jefferson County. The judges, which are largely a part of this little group you're trying to hide, are letting these criminals back on the street to re-victimize people in Colorado. And you want to tell me that I said words you don't like because I point out how evil and disgusting it is. But you hide behind people and you say, oh my goodness, he's an anti-Semite. You use a dog whistle to cover up your own improprieties and your betrayal of the very people you say you represent. All while I have people of Jewish faith, rabbis, other people that come to me and say, Joe, I can't say it because if I say it, they'll literally destroy me. Recognizing that you have an apparatus that you yield as a weapon to hurt people, not only in our state, but your own people that are in the state that really want good things for good people. It's disgusting. And you're disgusting. And I am very proud to say, I'm going to sue you, all of you. And we will play it out on this podcast every day. And I will subpoena every record of every social media platform. And we will do everything we can to get to the bottom of it. And the other people that you've sent these defamatory letters to, we're going to show a pattern of what you've become in order to stop people from fixing the very state that you've destroyed. Because you stood in the way of good people, you picked winners and losers, and you stood on people that are just obviously satanic. By the way, it's not a conspiracy theory, it's in the Bible. And we're Christians. We believe in the Bible. And we stand by it. That's what I think. If you were wondering what I think I just told you very clearly what I think. I'm disgusted by these people. And by these people, let me just clarify that, by the evil doers that use an apparatus in an organization to not promote unity and support of people that should be able to live in peace, but to support evil doers that have done real evil things under the guise of, I get to hide behind them. And if you say anything to me, you're anti-Semitic. You're disgusting. You're disgusting. So let's see how it goes for these people. But more importantly, I want to tell you what else the ADL is doing. They're doing everything they can. You know, they call themselves the Anti-Defamation League, but all they are is the Defamation League. They're an organization of demonic libel. They're the architects of how to steal from the community. They're not an organization that's ever done any good, not at least in the last couple decades, because they've been used as a weapon in order to allow evil people to do evil things. And then they hide behind it like cowards. So here's Jonathan Greenblatt. By the way, Jonathan, you want to have a conversation with me? Because it's going to get expensive for you. Says he's in the process of having all of Nick Fuentes supporters and accounts banned from Instagram and Facebook due to hate speech. He's trying to cancel anyone that follows Nick Fuentes for hate speech. Now just imagine that. You have a guy that, by the way, is dual citizenship. Really, I mean, I don't even know this guy. I don't know him at all. But I can't imagine that he believes or has any sort of faith in God. I can't imagine that he does. Because how do you have an organization that's sole purpose is to lie and to slander and to bully people and think that that is a person that follows the Lord? I just don't think it's possible. Let's go ahead and play this.
Our research shows that they have failed to, their pullback on moderation means they're not even enforcing their own policies. So let me give you some examples. And we looked at hundreds of posts, accounts, you name it. Like, for example, Nick Fuentes. So he's a very well-known, really revolting neo-Nazi social media influencer, but is banned from the platform, which I don't think you don't get much credit from me for banning Nick Fuentes. I mean, it's kind of common sense. So, but whereas they banned him, we found hundreds of accounts that continue to push out his videos. Mm-hmm. So whereas his account isn't there, we found accounts with well over 1 million followers pushing out his Groyper videos on a daily basis. So Fuentes continues to populate and propagate his poison on Instagram, despite this sort of cosmetic kind of policy that they've taken. They're not even enforcing their own policy. They get over 100 accounts with millions of followers pushing out Nick Fuentes garbage every single day.
So let's ban them. They didn't say X anywhere. Because every time someone doesn't do exactly what they say, they call them anti-Semites and they tell them that they're bad people. We're not bad people. And we reject the idea that some organization can come in and destroy lives. I saw it happen to Ash Ep. You did the same thing to her. And she won. She beat you back into a corner. Now it's time to make sure that whoever else you've done this to, we're going to get access to all of it. I'm going to want every piece of evidence that they have from any social media platform where you went out and tried to destroy them. 6 years I've had to put up with this. 6 years I've had to put up with the lies that come from devilish people like you. Yeah, I'm pissed. You know why I'm pissed? Because at some point the truth should matter and good people should prevail. And you shouldn't be able to enslave your own people while treating the rest of society like dogs. Like you can do whatever you want to them. Here's a recorded conversation from 1972 and 73 between Richard Nixon and Billy Graham talking about what I'm talking to you about right now. It was a warning back then for Billy Graham. The synagogue of Satan is a real thing. These are devils. These are demons. These are terrible human beings that hide like cowards. They cower behind good Jewish people. They're not good people. These are anyone that would stand up for what has been done to our state and our country under the guise of protecting democracy, as they literally do evil things. What they did to Tina Peters is evil. Evil. Play it.
You see, the Bible makes a distinction, Mr. President, between two groups of Jews. One is called the synagogue of Satan. There are two different kinds. And those people in the latter days is called the remnant of God's people, which will be Jewish people. And then there's the synagogue of Satan. And nearly all of your religious deceptions in the latter days, what the Bible speaks, latter days to be 1,000 years, what they call the synagogue of Satan. In other words, they are energized by a supernatural power called the devil. This is what the Bible teaches, whether you believe it or don't believe it. This is the biblical teaching, and this is what I believe. And I believe that they have a strange brilliance about them. They're smart, and they are energized, in my judgment, by a supernatural power. Well, also they do something else. They're not smart. And you see, of course Hitler didn't. They had a stranglehold on Germany, on the banking of Germany, on everything in Germany, and they had the whole thing. You see, but he went about it wrong. But this stranglehold has got to be broken, or this country is going to go down the drain. Yes, sir.
I can never say it, but I believe it.
No, but if you get elected the second time, you might be able to do something.
When did the truth become so offensive that you can't talk about the devil itself? See, we have to start, and it keeps being said, there's a fight between good and evil, but we're not willing to make this. We're not willing to make the argument based on the facts that we can see right in front of us. We'll use the Bible if it's convenient. We'll talk about Genesis 13, Genesis 3, Genesis 11. We'll use the Bible as a tool, a stick to say that we should believe this. But when it comes down to believing what Revelations is supposed to tell us, which is this is what we're facing. This is looking down the barrel of a gun, and it's about to go off. We can separate good people from bad people. We can stop bad people from hiding behind good people. We can look at something objectively and say that is evil and call it what it is. We can call the truth, truth, and we can call a lie, a lie. And we can call the people that are actually saying these lies, liars. We can stop them from doing what they're doing and destroying our country, destroying our states, destroying our children, while separating themselves and calling themselves elites. They did it, not me. I stand on one side, and I stand on the side of God, period. So our Jewish brothers and sisters, they deserve not to be used as cannon fodder on a day like October 7th. And it wasn't my investigation that led to finding out that they had 6.5 hours that they basically stood down. It was in a hearing in Israel. What went wrong? People lost their jobs and other people, frankly, disgustingly left. They're like, I can't deal with this. This is a betrayal to everything that I represent. And those stories aren't one or two, they're abundant. And the stories of Bibi actually having and giving money to Hamas, that is well documented. He literally got caught on video talking about that he had to do that to keep them close. They manufactured war. They manufactured victims and made the people's cannon fodder. They didn't even ask their permission. They just did it. And now we're staring down the same barrel of the same gun inside of our own country that is captured by devilish people who are telling us to sit down. Like Yuval Noah Harari, who said that he is to become a god and we will just fall to the wayside. And then we need to murder 95% of the population around the world. Now, let me tie all this back to you. You can't get to a broken society without elections being stolen. We're really smart people. We got to the bottom of it, and we were able to create forensic evidence of stolen elections inside Dominion voting systems, inside of Smartmatic, ES&S. We were able to trace the lineage all the way back to 2005 when it was Smartmatic bought Sequoia voting systems. And on the heel of Eric Coomer going to jail for a long time as a massive heroin addict, they hire him as a chief architect, a guy that can't pass a background check to work at McDonald's. And now you have a judge in the case in Washington, D.C., who has sanctioned and removed Stephanie Lambert from the case, Patrick Byrne v. Dominion v. Patrick Byrne, because she had the information from Dominion that showed crimes were committed by people including Eric Coomer. And then Eric Coomer admitted that he gave Serbians access to the source code, but pinky swear they didn't have access to anything else. The guy that said, don't worry about it, Trump's not going to win, I made effing sure of it. The same guy that wrote about raping his wife and peeing on her, making her bark like a dog. The same guy that posted the Antifa manifesto, that posted things about killing police officers, killing the president. The same guy that basically said that all Americans, except for the ones that believe what he does, are stupid. The chief architect dating back to 2005. Now, why do I say this? Because you'd have to capture the apparatus and you'd have to be lying to people over and over and over again. And what does the synagogue, what is Satan really good at? Lying. Lying. And who owns our Congress? Who owns the judges? Well, if you were to listen to some of these judges, previous judges and a sitting judge, it's pretty out of hand. They have a couple of common denominators. And Satanism is one of them. I want you to see this because AIPAC owns Congress. Except for a few, AIPAC owns them. They speak up, not so much that everyone can hear, but they speak up. Congress just voted to cover up sexual assaults they committed. You have judges that are putting criminals on the street, going after good people, using lawfare to destroy families with impunity across the entire country. They have a rotted apparatus of the judiciary is caused by a rotted apparatus of elections. And now rape and sexual abuse is okay. If you're Congress, we can just sweep it under the rug and say nothing ever happened here as they give themselves raises and eat the pork of the people. Where are we if we're not at the place where we have realized that we are slaves? When organizations can come in and decide who are winners and losers, and with impunity, as if you're in some sort of high school drama club, you can go in and just dictate what bigger apparatuses do and say you're not allowed to let him have a seat at the table at the Republican Party, even though he's the guy that can fix it. And then I offered to sit down. I was like, we'll have a sit down. You ask me questions. But they didn't want that. They didn't want that. They wanted to make it so that Joe's anti-Semitic so that they could destroy any prospects, knowing that that dog whistle was like the worst thing in the world. You couldn't get me on the racism part. You couldn't get me on the homophobe part. Now you want to come after me for anti-Semitic? I believe that I'm here for a reason. And now you've tried me. Because now I have the wrong rate and paper. You did it yourself. You did it yourself. Let's see what kind of comments we have. I'm going to do even more. Sunlight is the greatest disinfectant, as they say. And I'm here to give you something else. So I'm running for state chair of Colorado. It's going to be WWE. I got a couple people running against me that aren't qualified. They aren't qualified to run a small company, let alone run the Colorado Republican Party. But I'm going to do a couple of debates, and I'm going to sit down, and I'm going to. But I went last night and met with 35 people in Glenwood Springs, 3 hours from the house, 3 hours to down there, 3 hours back, get on a plane 5 or 4 hours later. And I spent 3 hours meeting with wonderful people there. And there's a chair that was there, and this has come up like 6 times. It's from Shawshank Redemption. I've said this now twice on the show. And that is, what is hope? Hope is a dangerous thing. So here's what I know I can do in Colorado. I can restore the integrity of the office because it forgot what it was there for to begin with. It's there to preserve and protect the people's interest. It should be the people's party. We should become so attractive to independents and Democrats that they flock to something that literally has their best interest, that there's a mantra that you have to sign. There's a pledge you have to sign inside the Republican Party that says you will go back and talk to the people. Democrat, Republican, Independent, they have to be accessible to you. I can raise a lot of money because donors will come back to the party. We can win every race in Colorado. I believe that the Republicans can win every race in Colorado. I believe they can flip the legislature. And everybody's like, Joe, this seems impossible. Man, we're just going to get out there and we're going to talk. We're going to raise money. We're going to talk to the people in the community. And we're going to say, you've been betrayed by the very people you say are here to protect you. They have betrayed is your life better? They're like, no. I was like, well, you guys had control of it for 8 years and it run it into the toilet. What do you have to lose? And we're going to walk every door and have that conversation. And we're going to make a commitment. We will not betray you. We'll give us one shot. We're going to come out the gate really strong. We're going to get rid of things. We're going to doge the government. We're going to lower taxes. We're going to take away property tax. We're going to do all these things. We're going to make it so that people can live in their state in peace, give opportunity to their children. And I said this to 35 people, and you could see the electricity in the room. Hope is a dangerous thing. And I plan on being the one to put a whole lot of hope up front behind a whole lot of action to follow. We have a blueprint. It's going to be great. It's good to see you, Susan. Chris, it's good to see you. Go ahead and play that video, by the way. Let's play it so you guys can see it.
Hey everybody, Tim Burchett. The House just did the most disgusting thing I've ever seen. We just voted to cover up sexual harassment of employees by members, if you can believe that. I got the sponsor right here with me, got Bobert. Y'all tell them what happened.
It's shameful. They voted against my resolution that would reveal members of Congress who sexually harass employees on the Hill, women on the Hill, in the campaigns, lobbyists, etc. Shameful. So I don't want to hear.
They sent it to the ethics committee. So a bunch of congressmen are going to investigate
So
themselves.
let it go get hidden, right?
Yeah, this is exactly where bills go to die. So her privileged resolution is being sent to the ethics committee for members of Congress to investigate themselves. And remember, this is your tax dollars that were used in this hush money.
Yeah.
Yes,
How many millions? How many millions are in that thing? They said there's millions.
Some years there's like 4 or 5 million that went to a slush fund that paid for members of Congress with your tax dollars to allow them to go sexually harass people on the Hill. And then the second thing is I want to say is I don't want to hear another word about Epstein or Epstein victims by a single person, Republican or Democrat, that voted against revealing sexual harassment.
Let's get that list. How many people? 49 of us voted to make it public, right?
Yep, to actually have transparency.
49 or 50,
and this is the crap that we see up here all the time. We are actually standing for victims. And we just saw with Tony Gonzalez, his staffer, who killed herself, lit herself on fire. The worst way to die. And this was part of the same fund that is being covered up. Did he pay her? Maybe she never got a check. You'll never know. She doesn't have a life anymore.
You'll never know. Anyway, we need transparency. Thank y'all for sending me here.
I love you.
We need transparency. Now we need to throw every one of them out. And just because you stand on the stage and tell us you're for them, for the people, when you can't get the SAVE Act passed, when you are Republicans and you're standing in the way of recess appointments for President Trump, not for 1 year, but for going into the second year, you're betrayers, you're traitors. And if we had free and fair elections as a Republican Party in the state of Colorado, we could just walk in and say, yeah, you're not running again. You're not running again. We're primarying all of you. Well, we'll do this. No. We could be a blueprint for everything that happens across the state and across the country. See, it needs to be run by one of the reasons why people like President Trump is he walks in and he's like, yeah, I don't really care what you said because you're retarded. You don't actually know how to run anything. Here's the 3 things that we need to do. We're going to go do those. You do this, you do that, you do this. And the guy that screws it up, he's fired. Just like on the TV show, right? Get out. That's what it's supposed to be like. That's how you run an efficient train. Now, are there bodies that you lay out to pasture? Yes. Because it's the greater good of the country to do and execute against a strategy in order to create success for the people. And it doesn't ask you if you're a Democrat, Republican, or independent. It just says, look, this favors the people. You shouldn't have property tax. You shouldn't have a bloated 100% increase in budgets over the last 8 years. You shouldn't have it. And frankly, you could cut out 70% of it and no one would know, except for the douchebags that are inside of those little models handing it over to NGOs and other people. The people have been betrayed. So we can change it. We can change it. That's why the Anti-Defamation League doesn't like me. That's why they lie, because they're liars. They're flat out liars. All right, so let's pray it out. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and more. Go over there, give me a 5-star review, do all the things. Hit the little up button. And man, it's been great to be with you guys here today. And no, I'm not going to stop. Somebody just said, are you going to ever stop? And the answer is no, I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to stop. Yeah. What do we got on the comments? To Joe's point, nor I don't know what that is. You guys are talking about geoengineering? Okay, I don't want to talk about it. Okay. I got to go. All right, let's pray. Father God, thank you for pulling back the veil and allowing us to see things clearly. Thank you for the conviction that you put in my heart and the hearts of many. Well, I just ask you to give us the strength that we continue to fight and do what it is you want us to do. Help us, Father, to honor you in everything that we do. Help us to protect our Jewish brothers and sisters, our Christian brothers and sisters, and even our Muslim brothers and sisters that seek you and do good. Help us, Father, that we may come together and coalesce around the ideas of honesty, integrity, and what is real, not with a makeup, in order to take from us what is never theirs to take. We are tired, Father. We are fatigued, and we can see what they're doing so clearly, and they can see what they're doing so clearly. And yet they hide behind others like cowards. Help us, Father, to do right by the people of our state and country and to be our brother's keeper. Help us, Father, that we may be compassionate for those that have been in this country for a long time, that have served in this country for a long time, and there may be some sort of way out for them, a way to become citizens, but also the other people that have just come in for over the last 4 years. Father, it says we're supposed to be kind and take care of people, but we haven't taken care of the very people that were already here. We're stepping over them and we're dishonoring them. So, Father, I just ask you to help us clear this up as quickly as possible and get to a place where we can have humanity. I say these things, Father, humbly in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. All right. I'll see you guys way later. What do you got? Anybody not talking about weather? Nope. You're still talking about weather. Oh, okay. Go do whatever you're going to do. Make sure you get the thumbs up button. How do you have all these people on here and you don't have thumbs up? You should give me another 100 thumbs up. 100. Can you get to 100? Can you guys do that before I get off here on Rumble? You guys are probably watching it on TV. I got told that before, that all these people are watching on TV, on the big TV sitting in the living room. Hi, Mom. All right. God bless you guys. And we will see you tomorrow. All right. It's a good week. It's going to be a great week. All right. God bless you.
Rise up untamed in the heart of the fight where the wild ones roam. Joe Oltmann's calling, bringing truth back home. From conservative daily to this untamed fire, we shatter the silence, lifting spirits higher. No chains can hold us, no lies can prevail. Authentic and fearless on this rugged trail. Patriots gather under stars and stripes. Untamed nation, igniting the night. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Untamed nation, it's our battle song, motivating hearts where the brave belong. Yeah, untamed and wild, forever strong. Play it again all night long. Break the mold, chase the real. No more games, time to heal. Joe's voice leads the untamed crew. Truth matters through and through. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Tame nation, it's our battle song, motivating hearts where the brave belong. Yeah, untamed and wild, forever strong. Play it again all night long. Truth forever. True forever.